Tada. Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to SMC with Arewa. My name is Arewa. I welcome you to my channel. If you are new, you can click on that subscribe button. And don't forget to on your notification bell so you can get notified whenever I drop a new video so you can come and check it out. Also, this is a Yoruba and English channel. So thank you once again, guys, for joining me. Thank you for your love. Thank you for coming back to this channel. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you once again. Don't forget, for any of your adverts, your support, donation, or for any discussion whatsoever, my contact is going to be down below in the description box, and I'm also going to leave it lying around in the comment section area. Thank you once again, guys. Let's just get into it.
ìrèdè ẹ máa yọ̀ torí ń tẹ̀ wá lọ Sókótó ti wà lápò ṣòkòtò yín. Legacy Food ní gbogbo tó jọmọ́ oúnjẹ lẹ́wà àti tòkè òkun ti bá rọrùn dé. Ọ̀gá ni wọ́n nínú kábániṣètò oúnjẹ ṣé tilẹ̀ wa ni àbí tòkè òkun Continental Foods. Bá a ṣe ń distribute ní Nàìjíríà bẹ́ẹ̀ là ń ṣe káàkiri òkè òkun. Àwọn oúnjẹ aládìídùn tá a ti package bí ẹja gbígbẹ, ọ̀fadà rice, èlùbọ́, gàrí, irú, ẹ̀wà olóyin àtàwọn oríṣiríṣi ohun ìsebẹ̀. Báwo lẹ ṣe fẹ́ sí ní Legacy Foods? Bá a ṣe ń tà á lẹ́jẹ̀wọ̀n láǹfààní tún wà fún àwọn alára tútà láti wá kó lọ́pọ̀ yanturu pẹ̀lú owó péréte. Tẹ́sí máa rí èrè lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀. Dádì, mọ́mì, gbogbo ẹ̀yin ilé ìtajà ìgbàlódé tó jẹ́ ti oúnjẹ. Ẹ má làágùn jìnnà. Tí yín ni láti rán Legacy Food níṣẹ́, á sì jẹ bó ti tó àti bó ti yẹ. Bó sì ṣe àwọn aláṣẹ ìgbàlódé tó jẹ́ ojúlówó lẹ́yìn fẹ́. Legacy Food ní ẹ kàn sí because we are modern and culture service provider. Láti bá wa dòwò pọ̀, ẹ kàn sí Legacy Foods tó wà ní Nàìjíríà. Lake Holland International Limited, Mesa Village, Kọ́bápẹ́, Abẹ́òkúta. Telephone 0902-022-5804. Tàbí lórílẹ̀‐èdè Amẹ́ríkà ní Legacy Africana Market, 671 Bay Street, Thousand Island, New York, 10304. Telephone +192-935-35385. Ní Legacy Foods, we set the legacy.
The new president lórí ìròyìn àti ìkéde ìtẹ̀ ìsanwó fún tó ń wá láti ẹnu ọmọ yín, ọ̀rẹ́ yín, olólùfẹ́ yín, àbúrò yín, ẹ̀gbọ́n yín, Arẹwà yìí náà ni, lórí àwọn ìròyìn ìtẹ̀ ìsanwó fún. President Tinubu wọ́n ti sáàkì ìyẹn Emefiele àbí èmi ló ṣe èrè, mi ò tẹ̀ mọ orúkọ ẹ̀ pé gan. That is the acting chairman of the central bank. He has been suspended. Godwin Emefiele. He has been suspended. The president suspended him, and as soon as he was suspended, the DSS has arrested him. Immediately he was suspended, the DSS arrested him. That development Tinubu carry on. I understand. Godwin, wàá fẹ́ la pẹ̀lú kan tó fi ojú wa rí, wàá fẹ́ la. He has been suspended. Very good development. Godwin, wàá ní òbèrè fún tó yẹn pẹ̀lú kan tó fi ojú wa rí lórí ọ̀rọ̀ owó yìí. Moving on. Now, about the I'm sure you all remember about the case of Timothy Adegoke and Mr. Adedoyin, that the judgment has been, with the court case and everything, and the judgment has been announced that is going to, die by hanging and the rest of it. And I was told something that it is actually the governor that is going to sign the death warrant for that judgment before that judgment can be carried out, and that most governors these days do not want to sign a death warrant because they don't want that blood on their hand, or they don't want that person's blood on their hand. That that judgment took place, but for that judgment to actually materialize, for that judgment to be carried out, that the governor of the state where the thing happened in Osun State, yeah, that the governor, needs to sign that death sentence before they can go and hang Adedoyin. And that when we look at Nigeria, we don't see any government or any governor actually sign for someone to be, terminated like that, because they don't want their blood, the sin of their blood on their hands. So ìdájọ́ yẹn ó túmọ̀ sí wípé kán tó lè carry ìdájọ́ yẹn out fún Adedoyin, wọ́n ní governor láti kọ́kọ́ sign ẹ̀ náà. And most governor tó wà ní Osun State nísìnyí, I think is our dancing Adeleke governor, and they say most governors do not sign such statement because they don't want the blood on their hands. That is what I heard. I don't know how far or how true that is. And before I do this podcast, I did not do enough research or investigation into it. Bí mo ṣe gbọ́ ni mo ṣe rush láti sọ jáde. I don't know how far or how true that is. Before I made this podcast again, I've not done, as soon as I had it, I'm just coming out to tell you guys. I've not done the research, or I've not gone into the research to research about it, if that is true or not. But let's say it is actually true. Let's go to the side that probably it is true, that they're just going to, that no governor want to sign such thing because they don't want the blood of their hand. So that judgment will not be carried out. Then we still need to pend on our jubilation. Although the case has been won, even the wife of Timothy said she was offered 70 million naira for them to drop that court case by the Adedoyins. They tried to bribe them big money for them to drop that case, but it didn't happen. And do not forget that this same hotel in Ile-Ife has been renovated, repainted, and even renamed. Adedoyin is very, very smart. He has renamed that hotel, so that probably people won't suspect and people will still be patronizing them. I don't know about that. But I'm throwing this question out there that is it true that the governor has to actually sign before such sentence can be carried out? And do governors actually sign such sentence on a very good day? Because if they don't, or if government are always running away from signing such sentence, then it's not going to happen. I mean, they are just probably just going to leave him there in the cell or be in the jail for him to rot there. Maybe that was the reason why, because the day, if you notice in court that day, they might notice that they do any court níjọ́ yẹn but don't pronounce sentence yẹn. Ẹni tí wọ́n dájọ́ kú fún, you expect that such person pé kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní sunkún, kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní faraya, kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ àwọn ọmọ iṣẹ́ tí wọ́n tẹ̀ dájọ́ pé wọ́n máa ṣẹ̀wọ̀n ọdún méjì àbọ̀ ọdún mẹ́ta bí nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, wọ́n pariwo, wọ́n show expression. But Adedoyin wasn't showing any expression. It was just, just sat down there cool, as if, wọ́n dájọ́ kú fún ẹ, and then you sat down there cool and all that. Is it because he knows that no governor will want to sign such sentence to be carried out? Or probably because he knows he will go to Supreme Court, he will appeal it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But I don't think he's going to do that anyway. But is it because he knew that no governor will want to sign on such sentence? Is that the reason why he was so cool and gentle looking that day in court when such sentence, they just announced that you're going to be, killed by, you do sentence bang. Or the joke, no expression, no facial expression, no expression, nothing, just sitting down there looking cool and stuff like that. Bóyá ó ti mọ̀ lọ́kàn pé governor kankan ò ní fẹ́ sign irú statement bẹ́ẹ̀ pátápátá wọn á fòun sílẹ̀ nínú ẹ̀wọ̀n for many years. Tá bá ti gbàgbé, àwọn akọ̀ jáde ní á lọ sílùú mi, á lọ change orúkọ, á máa live life ẹ̀ lọ. I don't know. This is just Arewa thinking out loud. I don't know. I'm throwing it out to you guys. let's debate on it, because nǹkan tí mo gbọ́ nìyẹn, and I don't know how far that is true, because and I'm going to be thinking, could it be true? Is that the reason why Adedoyin was not actually showing any emotion, was not displaying that day when they announced her sentence? Abi? Anyway, let's go on.
Ẹ káàárọ̀, ẹ káàsán, ẹ káalẹ́ o, ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution. This is Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution. Tẹ́ ẹ̀ ń wá tí ẹ fẹ́ rójú ẹ̀, ojú mi rèé. This is Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution. Àwọn tó mọ̀ mí, wọ́n mọ̀ pé this is Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution. Mo wá láti wá polówó àgbo mi tó jẹ́ Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution about fertility treatment. Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution ní fertility treatment. A ní arthritis, a ní high blood pressure, a ní diabetes, a ní àgbo fọ́kùnrin, a ní àgbo fóbìnrin, a ní àgbo infection, a ní àgbo tí obìnrin ò bá rí nǹkan oṣù ẹ̀, tí nǹkan oṣù wọn bá ń ṣe ségesège, a ní ìyẹn náà lọ́wọ́. So àwọn èèyàn ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi tó bá pè mí pé àmọ̀ yín, àmọ́ bí wọ́n ti ṣe polówó, àrójú yín rí. That is why I come live video kékeré rí ẹni tó ń ta àgbo yẹn o. Sọ pé Alágbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution eléyìí ò ń ṣe fraud, this is the real life. So this is àgbo fertility treatment. Tẹ́ bá rí gbogbo ọmọ tó ti rà á rí, wọ́n á mọ̀ pé this is àgbo fertility treatment. Ṣé ti rí orúkọ Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution ló wà níbí báyìí? Ìyẹn olólùfẹ́ mi, this is fertility treatment. This one also is part of fertility treatment. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ti rà á rí ẹ máa mọ̀. A ní oríṣiríṣi testimony látọ̀dọ̀ òyìnbó, látọ̀dọ̀ àwọn dúdú ara wa gan, lórí ọlọ́mọ bíbí, lórí ẹni tó ń wojú Ọlọ́run ní olóyún láti Nàìjíríà dé òkè òkun, gbogbo ẹ̀ la ní testimony fún. Àgbo eléyìí wà fún àgbo ọkùnrin, fún ọkùnrin tí nǹkan ọmọkùnrin ò bá dúró dáadáa, ẹni tó ti ń ṣe mẹ́ta tẹ́lẹ̀ tí ò lè ṣe mẹ́ta mọ́, tó yẹ pé ẹyọ̀kan ló ń ṣe, tíyàwó ẹ̀ ń bínú àbí tíyàwó ẹ̀ ti sá lọ. This is a 3-in-1. A ní akọjẹ̀dí, a ní àgbo 3-in-1 fọ́kùnrin. A dẹ̀ ní fún obìnrin náà tó jẹ́ pé àwọn libido wọn kò wá òkè mọ́. Ẹ má bínú mo ṣe put pé kò wá òkè, because ó ṣì ń function but kò function fún ọkọ wọn wọ́n ṣe like ẹ̀, because tọ́kọ wọn bá wọn sùn, wọ́n kàn máa sùn gbalaja báyìí ni wọn ò ní feel ẹ̀. Ẹ wá sọ́dọ̀ Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution. Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution ní solution fún yín. Kaya mata wà fún yín, sweetener wà fún yín, a ní honey fún yín, gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ máa lò tí tẹ́ pé ẹ̀yin gan máa pọkọ yín pé my dear Mbolo wà, I'm missing you, gbogbo ẹ̀ wà lọ́wọ́ wa. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ torí Ọlọ́run, ẹ wá sọ́dọ̀ Agbo Ìbílẹ̀ Solution. Ẹ pe nọ́mbà mi látọ̀dọ̀ under Arẹwà SMC. Nọ́mbà mi wà lórí àwòrán yìí, ẹ máa rí nọ́mbà mi níbẹ̀. This Agbo.
So guys, let's move on quickly. We all know Pastor Tibetan, I should say Prophet Tibetan, or let's say Pastor Tibetan, and we all know who he is. A news came out that he was involved in a 65 million naira scandal over a land purchase by one of the church member near Dangote refinery. Him and the Ogun State First Lady, ex-First Lady, Mrs. Elizabeth. So the guy's name is David. He said he attends Pastor Tibetan's church and they have this father to son relationship. His name is David Timileyin. He cried out and said Pastor Tibetan and Mrs. Elizabeth Akintonde, the former Ogun State governor or something, defrauded him of 65 million naira, money that was meant to be for a land purchase near Dangote refinery in Lagos. And David, according to David, he said he and the prophet that they have this father and son relationship. David is also into real estate, according to him. And he said the money that was invested in the land was all the money he had for his business. He said before, Pastor Tibetan and him, they were in a father to son relationship, that the prophet had been playing the role of a spiritual guide to him, and in turn he placed so much premium, trust on his anointing, that he used to refer to him as a son, and it takes instructions from him, that their relationship had gone so deep and so far that he trusted the prophet, and the prophet sees him as a son, to complement the respect and the honor that he always accord to David Timileyin. He said then problems started when there's an issue concerning a land and a 65.5 million naira. He said the pastor, informed him that there's an availability of a land that is for sale, that he told him that the land was owned by another church member, Mrs. Elizabeth Akintonde, the wife of a former governor of Ogun State. But then Pastor Tibetan, offered himself as the middleman between the transaction. And David showed interest in the land and told Prophet Tibetan, that he would be willing to buy from the property at the cost price, which was put at 2 million naira per plot for the 30 plots of land, and some additional cost, which put the whole money at 65.5 million naira. So, and David said he told the prophet that he wants to get a lawyer to help him with all the necessary investigation and confirmation of the transaction, given it is a huge amount of money. But he said the prophet said, who apparently was probably manipulative, told David that you don't need a lawyer, since he was the one involved. And all this time, David did not suspect any foul play because of the respect and trust that he had for the prophet. So he did not hesitate to pay the 65.5 million naira cost of the land to him, to be transferred to Mrs. Elizabeth. And he said all these things happened last year. But a year after he transferred the money, David said he's yet to be allocated the land. Neither did he receive a receipt of the payment nor any documentation to the land at all. Instead, he has been involved in a circus of game with Mrs. Elizabeth and the prophet. He said trouble, however, started when David himself went to visit the land without the knowledge of the prophet Tibetan, and discovered that the land was not what was even described to him by the prophet. He said when the prophet got to know that he went to visit the land behind him, he got very, very upset. He got very upset with him and started talking, shouting and stuff like that. He said the prophet told him that the 30 plots of land were very close to Dangote refinery. But David said he has since discovered that the land is in a forest of Ekpe, or is a largely uncultivated land in a very remote area of Okpe that can't even sell for more than 1 million per plot. So David said beyond all this that he became very uncomfortable with the old deal when the prophet Tibetan expressed a displeasure when he went to check the land. The prophet was very furious when he got to know that he went to check the land. It was like he has done something evil, the way the prophet was angry when he went. And that was after he had he had paid. And he wondered why he was so annoyed that he went to check the land that he has paid for. And it was when he discovered that the land that was not told, that the land wasn't the one that was told to him. Now, apart from even that, after he had paid the 65.5 million naira, the woman came up with another claim. She said the earlier price of 2 million per plot was a mistake, that the land actually cost is 5 million naira per plot. So the 30 plots that he has to pay 130 million naira. That was the point when David said he decided that he was no longer interested in the land. More so, the location of the plot makes the changes that he was not interested again. Then later he said this Mrs. Elizabeth started, keeping him and telling him asking him, David, to exercise patience, that the document of the land and the receipt will be given to him. But she ended up blocking him and denied him access to the phone, denied him access to her phone. Then David now told the prophet that, oh, prophet, oh, I am no longer interested in this land. Oh. I would prefer that my money be refunded to me, rather for the prophet to encourage the woman to refund the money. Prophet Tibetan has been playing, that he's not involved. That at a point he even traveled out and told the woman should stop any further transaction until he comes back. By the time he came back to the country, he could not get the woman to transfer the money, to refund the money back. Instead, he has been using, subtle, threats and blackmail. At a point, he even told me that if the woman agrees to refund the money, the fund, what if she dies in the process? What will David do? He was asking David. David now cried out and said he's afraid because of the kind of conversation he's having with Pastor Tibetan. And, in a way, that one is threatening him. Tó bá tiẹ̀ kọ́lé, tó bá tiẹ̀ gbénulé náà ńkọ́, tó bá fẹ́ dówó pọ̀, tó bá kú ńkọ́, kí ló máa ṣe, kíníkan, things like that. That, okay, that David said he is no longer interested and is feared for his life, and that the hope of getting his money refunded is getting dimmer by the day if he failed to take a drastic step. He said before Mrs. Elizabeth blocked David's number, she asked him, that is David, to go and see the prophet, since it was the prophet who collected money from David. David said he had to use a friend's phone to reach her to put further pressure on her to return his money. To hasten the collection of the money, he said he has to engage the services of a lawyer who had written to Mrs. Elizabeth Akintonde asking for a refund. The lawyer wrote to her and asked for a refund, and noted that the transaction is tainted with fraud. And also wrote, the lawyer also wrote in there that Mrs. Elizabeth even, changed the price of the land per plot from 2 million to 5 million. And David said he later understood that the land was, he later discovered that the land was allocated to Mrs. Elizabeth by Lagos State government for purely commercial purposes. Purely for commercial purposes. According to David, that it was supposed to be for a petrochemical company. That the plot of land was supposed to be used for public interest, not to be sold to an individual, like what not to be sold to an individual as Mrs. Elizabeth had planned to do. David is crying now that he would rather have his money back than go into any unending legal battle with his, estranged father in faith, Pastor Tibetan. He wants the public to help him talk on Pastor Tibetan to return his money, that is no longer interested in a legal battle for now. David is crying out to the public, to Nigerians that knows the prophet and the government, to help talk to the prophet to return his money, that is no longer interested in the land, that this money is his entire business money. David has gone to print out his bank statement, and it was seen where he transferred the money, 60 million naira, to the pastor, to Pastor Tibetan's account from February to March in 2022. Meanwhile, when they asked Pastor Tibetan, he said he was just a middleman between the buyer and the seller. He said David knows the woman, that is Mrs. Elizabeth. He said David knows Mrs. Elizabeth, who sold the land to him, that he should go and meet her. Pastor Tibetan said, somebody sold the land to David. I told him to pay the money through my account so that it will be his testimony. David paid the money into Pastor Tibetan's account, and Pastor Tibetan transferred the money to Mrs. Elizabeth. That even Mrs. Elizabeth came to him with a commission, and he told her that he does not want any commission. That later the woman wrote a receipt, but David said his name was not well spelled, that there was an altercation on it. Also, that the woman, that Mrs. Elizabeth typist, wrote hectares instead of acres. That was the argument. And then Pastor Tibetan said he told them, both of them, to go and sort it out themselves. Pastor Tibetan said if David should go to any court or CAN, I don't have any case with him. I did not take any of his plots or beg him for money. David knows the woman that sold the land to him. He should go and meet her. I am no more in the matter. Now, Mrs. Elizabeth Akinriton, on his other hand, when they asked her, that one said that she did not have anything to do directly with David. She said, I don't know David. I think you should direct your inquiries to the person who collected money from him. Let David tell the public whom he paid to. The prophet cannot direct him to me. If he paid money to someone, why is he not asking the person for a refund? Why me? Mrs. Elizabeth is answering, is like she queried. Meanwhile, when David and his lawyer went to go and meet this woman in an office in Ikeja, with also this woman's lawyer, the woman confirmed that yes, she indeed collected money from David through Pastor Tibetan, and that she told that she has made up her mind to refund the money because David had been calling and insulting her, and she did not want to have any business with David again. That was what he said. Now let's quickly listen to what Pastor Tibetan said.
kó má rò pé òun gbọ́n lójú ara ẹ̀ ẹni tó lógo ló lógun láti secondary school láti primary school títí wá di ìgbà tí mo dé sẹ̀lẹ̀ tó ń lọ bí 50 years mo ti mọ̀ pé àyàwó mo ní ògo so ìyẹn ní mi ò fi lọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ ìyẹn ní mi ò fi ṣàgbèrè wọ́n rán obìnrin wá wọ́n rán ọkùnrin wá wọ́n rán ọmọdé wá wọ́n rán blogger wá wọ́n rán ẹni tó súnmọ́ mi wá gbogbo wọn fèlè lọ ní sẹ́wọ̀n wọ́n ní neither will I leave you and neither will I forsake you. Know for sure there is nothing a man can do for you. And me sitting down before you, mi ò retí kankan lọ́la. Then ó ralẹ̀ fún yàn, ó kọ́lẹ̀ fún yàn, mi ò ralẹ̀ fún yàn. The person sent the money through my account, and I delivered the money to the owner of the land, and they wrote a receipt for this. He said there is a typographical error, acre and hectare, and I left it for both of them to go and correct and sort it out. Later, when I traveled, I brought to her that the receipt has not been given to the person. I didn't take commission from the person that bought the land from Abuja. I didn't take commission from the person that sold the land. So automatically, Omuyan Lora Moto, Omuyan Lora Le, no, but in my commission, to Bolo Kinati Kiji, hey Joseph, Jotuni Shuru, Oda Bento Muyan Lora Malu. Nígbà tí a bá lò mú wọn lọ sí Adó-Odò Ọ̀tà, mo mú wọn lọ sí eléwé ẹran Abẹ́òkúta wọn lọ ra màálù. Mo dẹ̀ ti náwó sí màálù, wọ́n ti ẹni tó ń ta màálù, wọ́n ti dọdún náà dúró ẹ̀. Èmi wọ mọ́tò mo lọ sí Ìbàdàn, wọ́n gbé màálù ń bọ̀ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́. Nígbà tó mú dé ẹ̀kan dé tó géètì Ṣàngó màálù kú. Ṣé wọ́n tún lè pè mí sí ọ̀rọ̀ màálù tó kú? So ọjọ́ kọjọ́ ṣé òun mẹ́rin yìí bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo wá ra lẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀. And that's all. Receipt kò wà lọ́wọ́ mi security ẹ̀ pọ̀ ẹ̀kíní kan mi ò lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ babaláwo mi ò ní láti dẹ́ anybody lọ jẹ́ kẹ́mi aláriwo kó máa pariwo ẹ̀ any good news and bad news will only be in the air for 3 months. Ọ̀rọ̀ rere ọ̀rọ̀ burú wọ́n fi bà ẹ́ jẹ́ wọ́n fi tún ẹ ṣe wọ́n bá sọ́sọ́sọ́sọ́ òpin ẹ̀ oṣù mẹ́ta tó bá tún bá dálẹ̀ lẹ́yìn oṣù mẹ́ta ọ̀dọ́ òde wá nǹkan míì mú ṣe.
That is what Prophet Tibetan, said. Now, what is baffling me in all this matter? Now, this is what Prophet Tibetan said, which to me, sounded somehow the way he was trying to, clean himself off the whole matter as if, Anyway, I don't know what you guys think. What's your opinion? I don't want to say anything concerning this one. What do you guys think? What's your opinion concerning this? Because even the guy, David, you want to buy a land, even if you trust Pastor Tibetan, you want to pay the money through him, fine. So you mean you could not go over there to go and check the land before you paid? So you cannot, even if you're not in Nigeria, you don't have anybody in Nigeria that you can send for them to go and see the land before you pay. I don't understand how you pay for a land that you did not even go to see. They just told you it is close to the refinery, and boom, how much is it? Kiniko, yeah, take money. You didn't go there to go and see it before you pay. You did not send someone, if you are not even in Nigeria, to go and check the the place, and you say you are into real estate. It's sounding somehow to me. Ó fẹ́ ralẹ̀ ní kọ́kọ́ lọ wo ṣó possible kíyàn fẹ́ ralẹ̀ kó má wá lọ síbi tó fẹ́ kó lọ wo ilẹ̀ yẹn ná kó tó sanwó. I don't know. Over to you guys.